Have you seen Sabrina Carpenter's new album cover? If you're a parent, or if you just care about the next generation of girls growing up online, you might have felt a jolt when you saw this image of Carpenter on all fours in a mini dress, her platinum hair held like a leash by an unseen man. Some people are calling it brave, others are calling it dangerous, but everyone has an opinion.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. It gets the people going.
Is this feminism? Is this satire? Or is it just patriarchy in designer heels? To understand what's going on, we need to understand pop stars, pop psychology, purity culture, and the sexist ideas that have been shaping our music for decades. To frame this conversation, let's talk about the Madonna whore complex. Freud coined this term in the early 1900s to describe the way some of his male patients saw women. These men divided women into two categories. On one side, the pure, saintly mother figure, the Madonna, and on the other side, the degraded, hypersexual temptress, the whore. As Freud put it, where such men love, they have no desire. And where they desire, they cannot love. Oof. When I learned about the Madonna-whore dichotomy, it helped me understand a huge, super painful, and confusing dynamic in my own life, where half the men I knew pressured girls to be pure, angelic, modestly dressing, and basically asexual Madonnas.
I'm going to address my remarks to the young women of the church. Avoid clothing that is too tight, too short, or improperly revealing, including bare midriffs.
While the other half of the men I knew pressured girls to be seductive, provocatively dressed, sexy whores.
How far will L go?
When I first heard the term Madonna whore complex, it helped me describe that feeling of being ripped apart and unable to please both sides of men's expectations, let alone being both sides of who I wanted to be. Does that resonate for you? Unfortunately, I have a feeling it might resonate for a lot of women in our culture. The Madonna whore is obviously a false binary, and it is so damaging to women. But it's everywhere. We see it in our movies, we see it on TV. Back to that Sabrina Carpenter album, we see the Madonna whore complex especially clearly in our music industry. From the earliest days of recorded song, record labels made it clear that women can fit into one of these archetypes or the other. And no matter which one you choose, Madonna or whore, you'll be punished for it. We can see this dynamic as early as the jazz and blues eras. Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, two of the earliest female blues singers, were both celebrated for their raw, emotional vocals and their powerful, socially conscious lyrics. The two are considered critical figures in music history today, but at the time, both women were quickly and unquestioningly sorted into the whore category. The reason was twofold. For starters, both of these women were queer and open about it. Ma Rainey appeared on her album cover wearing a three-piece suit and sang about enjoying the company of women. Bessie Smith likewise enjoyed relationships with both men and women, and her reputation for taking female lovers cemented her image as dangerous and deviant. But even if they had been straight, neither woman could have been considered as a candidate for the Madonna role because they were Black. And in the eyes of white-dominated society, Black women were seen as hypersexual and couldn't be considered pure. The whore label was the only one available for Black women back then. And arguably, you could say that that dynamic persists even today. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Freudian divide, Doris Day, a white star of the 1950s and 60s, was cast as America's sweetheart, safe, wholesome, and modest. Yet she faced constant scrutiny to live up to that idealized image. What she wore, what she sang, who she dated, every bit of her life was up for dissection by the public. Critics mocked her as the world's oldest virgin, even as Doris bent over backwards trying to maintain the image that her career depended upon. As Doris would later tell her biographer, "My public image is unshakably that of America's wholesome virgin, an image I can assure you more make-believe than any film part I ever played." The Madonna role, it seems, was nothing more than an idealized and frankly impossible idea of womanhood. So whether they embodied the Madonna or the whore, each of these women was attacked for it. The roles are different, but the punishment is the same. Media pressure, public mockery, and eventually the end of their careers. And then came Madonna. Not the Freudian construct, not the Virgin Mary. I'm talking about like a virgin.
Me.
In 1984, pop sensation Madonna released this revolutionary single, a song that used purity as a punchline and sexuality as a spectacle. And patriarchs everywhere were aghast.
You are pushing the limits of sexuality. In this case,
You're saying I'm pushing the limits of sexuality? It's about the celebration of sex. There is nothing wrong with that, okay?
She performed it at the first ever MTV Video Music Awards in a wedding dress, rolling around the stage in lace and pearls, and wearing a belt that said, "Boy Toy." The performance scandalized conservative viewers, and in her 1995 single, Human Nature, Madonna responded directly to that backlash. Did I say something wrong? I didn't know I couldn't talk about sex. Would it sound better if I were a man? And that's a fair point. For any of you who are put off by Madonna, whether for purity reasons or feminist reasons, I, for example, do not love the boy toy belt. We are so used to seeing men being sexual that we don't even notice it. Madonna wanted to provoke and to confront the taboos around women's sexuality.
Listen, all you do is talk about my sex life on your show, so now you don't want to talk about my sex life when I'm on your show.
No, what do you mean? Do you mean because we refer to you periodically, we make jokes?
Periodically?
Yeah.
You got afraid.
You got afraid?
What was there? Yeah.
Why? Are you frightened of a woman that can turn herself on?
But in doing so, she was cast firmly in the role of the whore. And for a time, this worked in her favor.
Madonna, the girl who's made a fortune out of looking like a tramp.
The controversy made her a global superstar.
Madonna's first 4 albums sold 48 million copies, and Forbes magazine calls her the top-earning female entertainer this year.
But she got a lot of pushback, and then, as she aged, the rules changed. Sexy young Madonna was an icon. Sexy older Madonna? Suddenly she was desperate, embarrassing, trying too hard.
She has become an embarrassing shambles.
This is me. This is how I want to be. People should just leave me alone.
Madonna herself wondered, is there a rule?
What, are you supposed to just die when you're 40?
Apparently yes, at least if you're a woman in music. Let's fast forward to the late 1990s, the era of Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. These two women weren't just megastars, they were set up as cultural foils. Britney was cast as the Madonna, the good girl from the South with her schoolgirl innocence. Christina, on the other hand, was seen as the whore, vocally powerful but brash, sexual, and uncontainable. From the beginning, the media framed them as opposites and rivals, and the public had to choose which archetype of womanhood it preferred. Britney Spears burst onto the scene in 1999 with her debut single, Baby One More Time. The video features a 17-year-old Spears dressed in a Catholic schoolgirl outfit, dancing in the hallways of a high school. This was her idea, by the way. She pitched the concept herself. And it worked. The song became a smash hit, and almost immediately, she was assigned the role of the innocent Madonna. Britney was America's newest sweetheart, a Southern belle who sang in church, wore a cross, and publicly affirmed that she was saving herself for marriage. This helped make her acceptable to mainstream audiences, especially parents and religious conservatives. But at the same time, her handlers had Britney pushing the boundaries of sexuality just far enough to be marketable, playing on innocence while capitalizing on desire. Their sexuality was made palatable to parents and profitable to labels because it was framed as innocent. The result? A series of smash hits and a media frenzy around Britney's virginity.
You're not going to have sex before you're married. Is that a standard that is hard to live up to?
With tabloids and talk shows alike obsessing over whether she was really as pure as Madonna-like as she claimed.
There's one subject we didn't discuss. What was that? Everyone's talking about it.
What?
Well, your breasts.
My breasts. And that's the thing about the Madonna whore complex. It punishes women on both sides. The whore is seen as too sexual and therefore an open target for mockery, moral judgment, and degradation. But the Madonna is just as scrutinized, held to an impossible standard of purity, but of course still expected to cater to men's desires and make money somehow. Oh, and if that Madonna figure ever falters, if she starts dating, she's seen as a fraud and dragged for it.
Britney Spears is too sexy for her young audience.
What I would say to Britney, probably tell her, think about those 12-year-olds that listen to your music. They probably are thinking that it's okay to dress like that, which it's not.
I'm not their parent, man.
Britney Spears.
She seemed very young. She seemed younger than a person who would bear her midriff.
Either way, women's sexuality isn't their own to define. In a now infamous interview with Diane Sawyer, a 22-year-old Britney was asked if she'd been unfaithful to her then beau, teen heartthrob Justin Timberlake.
You broke his heart. You did something that caused him so much pain, so much suffering.
Let's talk about something else.
The tone of this interview wasn't just invasive, it was accusatory. It wasn't journalism, it was moral policing.
And the girl who said that she was going to stay a virgin till she got married, do you still think there's something to be said for that?
Meanwhile, Christina Aguilera, who had risen to fame alongside Britney, was given the opposite label.
Not great at trying to live up to a virginal America's sweetheart kind of thing.
If Genie in a Bottle hadn't been enough, the release of her 2002 single Dirty cemented Christina's reputation as the whore. The music video featured Aguilera in chaps and a bikini top, dancing in a gritty, sweat-soaked club. Critics were swift to condemn it.
Yes, folks, little girls grow up, but isn't there a problem with too much hoochie?
Don't give me the stuff about her being a serious musician.
Do you realize it's a music video? Like, why are you getting so blown out of proportion about it? If a guy would have come out with that video, it wouldn't have created half the controversy or half the hype.
Christina's sexuality was criticized and outright insulted, and she was quickly cast as the nemesis to Britney's good girl image. Seriously, in the early 2000s, this rivalry between Christina and Britney was everywhere.
It just seems that no matter how hard you try, that you're always going to be compared to Britney Spears.
It's something that the media and the press have loved to hype about.
Both pop stars were encouraged to insult each other in interviews, got cast in opposing soda commercials, and even had their likenesses brutalize each other on MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch. Our culture was merciless in pitting those two women, Britney versus Christina, the Madonna versus the whore, against each other. The message to young women was clear. Don't be too sexual, and also, while you're at it, don't be too chaste. At least not unless you want a lifetime of invasive questions and impossible standards. These two young women eventually bought into it too. They turned against each other. And honestly, it's really sad. These women were once childhood friends who'd performed side by side on the Mickey Mouse Club as kids. And yet, when they became successful, they were forced into opposite corners by an industry and a culture that thrives on dividing women into binaries. In the end, the Madonna whore complex didn't elevate either woman. It devoured them both. So where does that leave us? It leaves us right here today with the release of Man's Best Friend. In August 2025, pop sensation Sabrina Carpenter launched her 7th studio album. And here again is its viral cover image. As soon as this image dropped, the internet exploded.
Sabrina Carpenter's provocative new album cover.
Does it matter that much? Like, I understand.
A woman kneeling in a dog-like pose in front of a man pulling her hair.
The girl is doing her thing.
I don't like it. I don't dig it.
Big jump from espresso. Stove.
She's a feminist. It's all about women's empowerment.
You know, I think about young girls seeing that. Y'all need to get out more.
Just, and oh my.
Is it satire? Is it self-objectification? Is it empowerment? Is it regression? My colleague and writing partner Sam made the point that if we're going to judge Sabrina's art, the album, we should at least listen to what's inside. And Sam found the album smart, sharp, and self-aware. That's true. The album's lead single, Man-Child, pokes fun at gender roles and man's emotional immaturity. Sabrina flips the patriarchal script, seeing how men like it when she teases them as sexy but dumb, a sentiment women have been the target of for centuries. However, that album cover is a hard no from me, especially considering that Carpenter also orchestrated a photo shoot where she imitated Nabokov's Lolita, a book about a 12-year-old girl who is groomed and raped by a 37-year-old man. I condemn images that glorify sexual violence and men's domination over women. Maybe if we didn't have a 12,000-year history of men assaulting young girls and dragging women by their hair, I could attribute these images to just what she's into. But alas, we exist in historical context. So to those who claim the images are satire, I respond, if it's successful satire criticizing patriarchy, then women would be able to recognize it as such. In general, such social commentary might make men feel uncomfortable, but it would make women feel seen, like they're in on it. But that's not the case here. These are photos that men tend to like.
Photo is, artistically, it looks good. It's a good photo,
Okay, we see
but like the lighting and like, you know, the...
While they make women feel confused, sad, or angry, especially women who have experienced sexual violence themselves or know and love girls and women whose lives have been destroyed by it. I think it's wrong-headed and irresponsible. But I'm not slut-shaming. I would never call Sabrina Carpenter a whore, either personally or archetypally. But that does seem to be the way some are labeling her. And if today's whore is Sabrina Carpenter, then who's this generation's Madonna? Look no further than Gracie Abrams, our last music artist of the day. Her music is soft, chaste, and often submissive. Her hits include titles like I Love You, I'm Sorry, and I Miss You, I'm Sorry. And here's just a sampling of some of the lyrics. I'll say whatever you want. I should be a pretty crier. If you asked me to, I'd give up everything to be close to you. And these are just a few of her many lyrics aligning herself with patriarchal ideals of female chastity, self-sacrifice, and a strong dose of feminine sorrow. It all feeds neatly into the narrative of the good girl, the sweet, subservient, and modest Madonna, embraced by many as a healthier role model than Sabrina Carpenter. But, of course, being cast in this Madonna role for a new generation doesn't mean Gracie is spared any of our cultural backlash. As you might expect by now, her image is closely scrutinized, not just for what she wears on stage, but for how she appears off it. She's posed in lingerie and swimwear for fashion editorials, sparking online debate about whether she's too sexy or not sexy enough. Her romantic relationships have been picked apart by tabloids and social media alike. Her sexuality has been questioned. Every element of her appearance has been put under the microscope. Once again, the Madonna role, supposedly the safer of the two options, comes with its own set of impossible expectations and inevitable attacks. And this is personal, not just for the artists, but for the millions of girls watching them. When our daughters, literal or metaphorical, scroll through their feeds and see women being pitted against each other, bashed for their appearance, and shamed for being too sexy or not sexy enough, they internalize messages about what kind of woman it's safe to be. They learn that their value lies in walking a tightrope between purity and provocation. They learn that claiming your sexuality is risky, and shying away from it is risky as well. So should parents be concerned? Yes. But not just about the pop stars. We should be concerned about the system that keeps putting young women into impossible positions and then blames them for how they perform within those positions. We should be concerned that so many cultural messages still suggest that a woman's sexuality, or lack thereof, defines her. We can celebrate artistry while unpacking the power dynamics. And let's end on some good news. While Sabrina and Gracie, like Britney and Christina before them, are being cast into the same old Madonna whore roles, there's a key difference this time. These women don't seem to be buying into it. Sabrina Carpenter and Gracie Abrams, however the media tries to paint them, have refused to be rivals. They take selfies together, they compliment each other. That alone feels revolutionary. A radical change from teaching girls to pick sides and bullying women into bullying each other. There's a quote from Beyoncé that says, "Money gives men the power to run the show. It gives men the power to define value. They define what's sexy, and men define what's feminine." But what if we changed that? What if women's femininity, like their sexuality, like their art, belonged to them? And that brings us all the way back to Freud and that frustrating binary, the Madonna, the whore. No woman, and no person for that matter, is either or. We're complex creatures. We're human beings. We're not archetypes for patriarchy to pick apart. So here's the question I'll leave you with. When you see a woman in the spotlight, do you see her as a full, multi-dimensional human being? Do our projections onto young female artists represent the way we feel about women generally? About ourselves? Do we allow ourselves to be full, multi-dimensional human beings? This is controversial and complicated, so let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for liking, subscribing to the channel, and sharing the episode with a friend who loves pop music or can't stand Freud.